everyone, my name is Tim Brown. Welcome to the Museum Experience, the podcast that is devoted to the everyday world of museums. And the podcast is also developed with the average visitor in mind. And there are a lot of people out there who may be wondering, what exactly goes on in museums every day? How do they attract audiences? Who comes to museums? What is there to see? What are museums doing online? All those questions and more I plan to answer during this podcast. Today I'm going to focus on, for this very first episode, I'm going to explore the role of social media and how museums are using it to reach their audiences and to sustain meaningful relationships to their community. Now, there are tons of museums on social media sites like Facebook and Twitter, Flickr, and so forth. I'm going to highlight just a few examples of what you can expect to see and how you can begin to see and understand how museums today are sustaining relationships with their audiences. Let's look at the Brooklyn Museum's page, for example. The Brooklyn Museum will highlight workshops and programs as well as tours. And as you can see, they have over 40,000 followers. Again, this is a great way to reach a large number of people relatively quickly. Now, yes, the news feeds are very fast. Sometimes you may not always catch the content. But, if you are on Facebook, and many of us are on Facebook, you can always go to the museum's page itself to keep track of everything that's going on. And what's nice too, you can maintain a personal contact or relationship with museums on social media sites, which is very different from calling the main number and going through a menu of options and so forth. The Brooklyn Museum also offers a Facebook Museum Teen page. And here, the Brooklyn Museum highlights the workshops and programs that they're doing with the teens. And they have about 560 or 64 followers, which is pretty good. I'm a museum professional myself. I work with a wide range of audiences, and sometimes it can be very challenging building a relationship with teens who are preparing for college and where they have test scores on the brain. And it's a priority also for schools that high school students reach those goals. And so it's very hard to get high school students at that particular period in their lives to participate in museums. And the social media avenue for the Brooklyn Museum is definitely working to their advantage. Another museum that you will find on Facebook is the Metropolitan Museum. The Metropolitan Museum is a much larger museum, of course, and they're going to have a lot more followers. As a matter of fact, they have 533,899 at this particular moment. That's an awful lot of followers for a Facebook page, but it is the Met. And of course, as you know, if you haven't been to the Met before, it has one of the largest collections of art in the world. And you will find when you go to the Metropolitan's Facebook page, you will see that they also have links to other social media sites. There are little buttons or tabs on the side where you can also visit their Foursquare page or their Twitter page or YouTube page. And the Metropolitan, like the Brooklyn Museum, also features other departments and programs on Facebook, including a K-12 educators page. And here, this is a page where educators can now follow things that are going on at the Metropolitan that pertain specifically to educators and or teachers. SF MoMA is another museum that you can find on Facebook. That is the Modern Museum in San Francisco. You will find that SF MoMA loves to promote the rooftop garden. And the snapshot that I've captured here is highlighting some of the events that are going on the rooftop garden. And you can also see as well, and you can see this on any typical Facebook page, our comments, various comments from visitors who are very excited about what the museum happens to be doing on that particular day. Here you can see a quote by someone saying, "You're awesome, SF MoMA." So it's a great community forum, a great way for visitors to stay in touch with the museum, even if you're not able to go to the museum on a regular basis, say, once a week or once a month. Maybe you only can make it 4 times a year, but Here, you're with the museum every day, and this is a great outlet for many museums. And YouTube is another very popular social media site where visitors can check out videos related to museum activities. And this has paid huge dividends, I believe, for museums, because when you go to an actual museum, you may not find video on display. Now, is that significant? Well, in today's video-saturated market, I believe it is. And YouTube provides a place for museums to highlight things that are going on at the museum with this very popular medium. There are a ton of museums, and I would encourage you to explore them on your own. You will also find, too, if you go to any museum website, there will be a link to their YouTube or Twitter pages. I'm just going to select a few examples. Here is the Hunter Museum of American Art. And at the Hunter in Chattanooga, Tennessee, you will see that they highlight partnerships with other organizations and programs and events like summer camps. You will also find the Indianapolis Museum of Art, which is doing a lot of fun and exciting things. Here you see an example of a contemporary curator talking about an exhibition, and if you scroll down you will also see examples of films that are being shown about the lost wax process. And finally, MoMA, which is doing a lot in the multimedia realm, is featuring a range of videos that covers topics including artists, guest speakers, and even highlighting events and programs attended by the general audience. And if you like to tweet, there are a lot of museums that you can follow on Twitter as well. There's the Philadelphia Museum of Art, there's the Newark Museum of Art here, and you can also follow the Whitney Museum in New York. And another popular social media site is Flickr. And art museums aren't the only ones that are getting in on the fun. The Franklin Institute in Philadelphia uses Flickr to highlight a lot of events that they have, not only just exhibitions, but programs such as Harry Potter events and so forth. And here's an example of the Natural Science Museum in Houston, where they're highlighting the visitor experience. And last but not least, the Smithsonian Institution. And there are lots of other museums that you can find on these social media sites. I would encourage you to explore them all. Again, you can go straight to their webpage and you'll find a link probably somewhere under the category Interact, or usually at the bottom or the side of the page. Well, I hope you enjoyed my first episode of the Museum Experience and social media. I will continue to explore a range of other topics going on in the museum world. Until then, see you next time.